And take, reach up black men and women and pull all nature's knowledge to you. Turn ye around and make a conquest of everything north and south, east and west. And then when you have wrought well, you will have merited God's blessing, you will have become God's chosen people, and naturally you will become leaders of the world because of the superiority of your mind and your achievements. So give us credit for being able to use our minds. And with people becoming conscious of themselves, determined to use their minds, you do not know to what extent they can go. Liberate the minds of men, and ultimately you will liberate the bodies of men. Black men of Carthage, black men of Ethiopia, of Timbuktu, of Alexandria gave the light of civilization to this world. Ethiopia shall stretch forth her hands unto God, and princes shall come out of Egypt. The world is indebted to us for the benefits of civilization. They stole our arts and sciences from Africa. Then why should we be ashamed of ourselves? Because God and nature first made us what we are. And out of our own creative genius, we make ourselves what we want to be. Follow always that great law. There is no height to which you cannot climb without the active intelligence of your own mind. Mind creates, and as much as we desire in nature, we can have through the creation of our own minds. But in your homes and everywhere possible, you must teach the higher development of science to your children. And make sure that we have a race of scientists par excellence. For in science lies our only hope to withstand the evil designs of modern materialism. With God's dearest blessings, I leave you for a while. One love.
Brothers and sisters, Marcus, Mosiah Garvey.
Peace, paz, shalom, hotep, Islam. I'm Rami Salam El, Moorish American coming out of the Bay Area, northwest of Mexico, known in these days as Oakland, California, North America. We're going to be doing some reading from one of Marcus Garvey's books, The Message to the People, A Course on African Philosophy, edited by Tony Martin, and ironically it is book number 7. But before we do, I wanted to read first the definition of forerunner, and then also a selection from the Holy Koran. The dictionary I'm going to be using for the definition is the American Heritage Dictionary, second college edition, real basic. And forerunner is on page 524, and it reads, one that precedes, as in time, a predecessor, an ancestor, forebear, one that provides advance notice of the coming of others, a harbinger. I wanted to put that on the record for what I'm about to read next, because I know sometimes it can be misconstrued or misunderstood. I'm going to be reading real quickly from the Holy Koran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, divinely prepared by the noble prophet Juali. And this is actually a reprint or a reproduction of the original 1926 print of the Holy Koran, prepared by Califa Media. A special shout out to Califa Media. You can go to CalifaMedia.com, CalifaMedia.com, if you want more. Peace to Sister Naji Ula El. And I'm going to be reading from The End of Time and the Fulfilling of the Prophecies. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Jesus in those days. The predecessor came before Jesus, letting people know who was coming. To warn and stir up the nation and prepare them to receive the divine creed, which was to be taught by Jesus. In these modern days, there came a forerunner that was divinely prepared by the great God Allah. and his name is Marcus Garvey, who did teach and warn the nations of the earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet, who is to bring the true and divine creed of Islam, and his name is Noble Jew Ali. Let me read that one more time. In these modern days, there came a forerunner that was divinely prepared by the great God Allah, and his name is Marcus Garvey. So, in the old days, John, he was the forerunner who came and was teaching people, preparing them to meet the coming prophet, which we know as Jesus or Yahshua or Isa. In these days, there was another John, but his name in this time is Marcus Garvey, and he came to teach and prepare the people for our coming prophet. And in these days, that prophet is Noble Drew Ali, also known as Timothy Drew or Sharif Abdul Ali. You see what's going on? Let's continue. Marcus Garvey, Message to the People. Amazing book. I advise you to pick it up. Actually, you should be able to see this on Califa Media soon. The Moorish edition. That's in the future, or maybe right now, depending upon when you see this. I'm going to read the preface, and then we'll get into some quotes. The Course of African Philosophy is a unique document. With the exception of his poetical works, it is the closest thing to a book that Marcus Garvey ever wrote. Yet 46 years after his death, it is being published here for the first time. It represents, as it were, the last political will and testament of a man who stands without equal in the history of the worldwide mobilization of African peoples. Powerful. Let's see. Let's get right into it. Page 1, Lesson 1. The first sentence. You must never stop learning. I'm going to repeat that one again. Lesson 1, Page 1, first sentence. You must never stop learning. Islam, I don't even need to go into too much on that one. Amazing. This was some powerful ones here. Never forget that intelligence rules the world and ignorance carries the burden. Therefore, remove yourself as far away from ignorance as possible and seek as much as possible to be intelligent. It goes on to read, your language being English, you should study the English language thoroughly. To know the English language thoroughly, you ought to be acquainted with Latin, because most of the English words are of Latin origin. Oh, goodness. It is also advisable that you know the French language, because most of the books that you read in English carry Latin or French phrases and words. There is no use reading a page or a paragraph of a book, or even a sentence, without understanding it. If the paragraph has foreign words in it, go to the dictionary before you pass over the words, if you don't know the meaning of the words. Never pass over a word without knowing its meaning. Never pass over a word without knowing its meaning. Never pass over a word without knowing its meaning. Etymology, brothers and sisters. It is the key. Let's see. Practice this rule. It is wise to study a couple of subjects at a time. As for instance, a little geography, a little psychology, a little ethics, a little theology, a little philosophy, a little mathematics, a little science on which a sound academic education is built. By doing this week after week, month after month, year after year, you will be so learned in the liberal arts as to be ready and fit for your place in the affairs of the world. If you know what others do not know, they will want to hear you. You will become invaluable in your community and to your country, because men and women will want to hear you and see you everywhere. Powerful. Let's see here. Let's go to another one. And that was chapter 1, mind you. There's so much here. Here we go. Page 22, leadership. A leader should always make an effort to be known in his community. He must acquaint himself with everything that is happening. He must know the governor or the state or country, the secretary of his state or his colonial secretary. He must know the mayor of his city and all the members of the legislature. He must know the bishops of his city, the administrative heads of all government departments, all the preachers and doctors and lawyers and prominent businessmen. Here's another one. You must seek to know all the people you want to be in your organization. Visit them in their homes, their workplaces, and anywhere you can meet them, and always extend to them a glad hand. I'm going to pause for a moment. We can apply this right now today to the Moorish Science Temple of America, speaking specifically to Moorish Americans. Let's listen again. You must seek to know all the people you want to be in your organization. Visit them in their homes, their workplaces, and anywhere you can meet them. So does that mean we are to wait in the temple for our people to come? The people that we want to reach? Or are we supposed to be going to them? To the streets, the blocks, the hoods, the barrios? Think about it. Yeah, let's get to it. Lesson 6, talking about Christ. If Christ as a man never existed, but was only an assumption, it would have been a glorious assumption to set man a high spiritual example of how he should live. There is no cause to doubt that Christ lived. Because you did not see him and feel him yourself as Thomas did, why should you doubt his existence? If you can doubt that, you may as well doubt that your great-grandfather ever lived, because you never saw nor touched him. Hear me? Let's continue on. This is the part that caught me. The greatest thing that Christ taught was love. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. In these statements are wrapped the highest ideals of a Godhead, as in the relationship of a father with his children. There has been no greater philosophy in the history of mankind. Support this philosophy and never change until God manifests himself to the contrary, which is not likely. It is evident that Christ had in his veins the blood of all mankind, and belonged to no particular race. Christ was God in the perfect sense of his mind and soul. His spirit was truly God's spirit. His soul, which acted on the advice of God's spirit, was never corrupt. Christ's soul was the free will thought that is similar to the soul free will thought of all men, whilst other men with their free will souls become corrupt and do evil even under the guidance of the Holy Spirit of God. Christ with his free will soul never disobeyed the Holy Spirit guide of God. In every man there is the Spirit of God. That is to say, that which is there to advise you and direct you to do good always. In each man also is the free will soul, which is the mind. In each man also is the free will soul, which is the mind. Each may accept the good guidance of the Holy Spirit or refuse to obey entirely. The mission of Christ, therefore, was to redeem man from sin and place him back on the pinnacle of goodness as God intended when he made the first two creatures. The life of Christ is intended to show man that by obedience he can lift himself to the highest soul expression in keeping with the Holy Spirit of God, of which he is a part, but only with free will. A free will can do as he likes. Man has a body, a soul, which is his own identification of himself and the Holy Spirit of God. In the vilest man, there is the Holy Spirit of God, and that man cannot destroy the Holy Spirit of God, because that spirit in him is the unit of God, which cannot sin and cannot die, because it is everlasting goodness. That's powerful. Powerful. Let's get back to some more character. This is lesson 7. Men and women who want to be of use to themselves and humanity must have good character. Good character means the demonstration of the kind of behavior that meets the moral precepts of a civilization, the standard that is laid down by the society of the time in which you live, and which forms a part of and guides that very character. If you do not live up to those standards, in the highest sense, you will not be respected by that society. Your mission in society for useful work will fall to pieces. Once again, especially for Moorish Americans, who's tasked with uplifting fallen humanity. We have to be. We can't talk it. We have to walk it. Islam. Character again on page 65. If you are angry to the point of fighting, count 10 and move off. If it is your wife, family, relatives, or even friends, take your hat off and go for a walk. Inhale the fresh air. Look at the sky, landscape, flowers, and stars, and new thoughts will come to your mind. You will forget your anger. Go to your room, lock yourself in, and take a book of poetry from your bookshelf, and read the beautiful thoughts of the past. You may even read the Bible for consolation. Read the Proverbs and the Psalms, and you will come back to normal. Let's get into some loving people. It's very interesting. Never love anybody for companionship, unless that person has the majority of the qualities that you like and appreciate. Never love a person more for his or her physical appearance or personality. First, investigate the character, disposition, temperament, behavior, and thought of the person. And when you find it in that person, along with the good physical appearances such as you like, all the qualities or as many of them as possible that would tend to satisfy you and make you happy through a lifetime, then love that person. But never love anyone better than yourself, because you are responsible to God for yourself. Only love God better than yourself. Whew. That's powerful. Remember, this is still in the chapter called Character. Remember, a leader must be honest. You have your character to maintain. You can maintain it only by good conduct. Therefore, never try to fool anybody or deceive anybody. Therefore, never try to fool anybody or deceive anybody. Never fabricate nor falsify. If the thought should ever come to you, count the consequence and the risk. It may be your last chance, and it may be your first mistake. Most men suffer from their first mistake, from which they never recover. This is another powerful one. This is speaking about the UNIA, but it applies to all of us in any organization, any community, any nationality, any group, whatever. In working for the UNIA, prefer death to stealing from the UNIA. If you steal from the UNIA, hundreds of millions of people will concentrate on you when they find out. You will be exposed if you are found out. They will have your picture before them to hate, despise, curse, and to damn. Now, we're not supposed to be hating, all right? It's love instead of hate, but you get what he's saying, you know. Therefore, play honest with the UNIA and its principles all the time, because you are dealing with the destiny of a race or nationality or nation, rather. Social system, lesson 8. Society is an organization of mankind to safeguard and protect its own interest. When society is organized and is made evident by regulations, rules, and laws, every member of that society must obey the said rules, regulations, and laws. Therefore, always live up to the organized system of society of which you form a part. The only alternative to this is rebellion. You should never join rebellious movements against society, except when there is good reason and justification for it. I want to pause for a moment, because with everything that's going on in these days and times, it does appear like there's justification for joining these rebellious movements. And I would like to say, before we do that, have we truly tried all other options? Have we tried nationalizing? Let me continue. You are not in a community to overthrow the law in that community. You are there to live under the law. The national aspiration of the race is to find expression, not in revolution where you are established when you are under other people's government, but to accomplish the end in Africa. Therefore, never preach rebellion, because you will disrupt the society in which you live, and it will crush you. Never join the mob. You will most likely be shot or injured, even though you may only be curious. If you are shot or injured in a riotous demonstration, it is almost always evidence against you that you were one of the rioters. So keep away. When the Riot Act or martial law is read or proclaimed in your community, keep indoors. When the Riot Act or martial law is read or proclaimed in your community, Keep indoors. Give this advice to the people. Never join a mob in a foreign country under a foreign government, or where you have very little political influence. Dropping them jewels. Dropping them jewels. I'm going to read a couple more. But really and truly, everyone should go out and get this book immediately. Mosiah Garvey, Message to the People, The Course of African Philosophy. Here we are. Yeah, I'll end on this one. When you riot against your government, you are rioting against yourself, because the government cannot exist without you. That is why there is a constitution. When the constitution is insufficient to give you all the protection you need, change it by political action. Vote for change. Do not riot for change. Vote for change. Do not riot for change. I'm going to leave it right there. Peace to Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the forerunner of our divine prophet, Noble Ali. Peace to you that is watching this right now. I thank you for helping us in this great movement, the Moorish Divine and National Movement, in helping to uplift humanity, to teach love instead of hate, to unite Asia, to stand up for our divine creed, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I am Rami Salam El, Grand Sheikh, the Moorish Science Temple of America, International Asiatic Moorish Hip Hop Temple number 23. And with that, I'm gonna leave you with the prayer. We'll call it a wrap. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is our protector, our guide, and our salvation, by night and by day, through our holy prophet, Noble Ali. Islam, Islam, Islam.